Hi friends and fam, how you all doing today? Hope you all are doing great. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how I cut and sew this beautiful short pencil skirts. Before is without a hip pad, while after is with a hip pad. So make sure you watch this video to the end and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel. Please like and share this video so that others will see and learn from it. Thank you. My material is already on fold. I want to cut the front part of the skirt first. So from my waist to my hip line is 8.5. The length of this skirt is 17 inches. So from this part, I will take the 8.5 inches, then I will connect the line. Don't forget, I'm cutting the front part first, and my material is on fold. So I will now join the line. I'll join the lines, my hip and the down part of the skirts. So my waist circumference is 36 inches. 36 inches divided by 4 is 9 inches. Then I have 1 inch for that and 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I'll go ahead and take my hip circumference. My hip circumference is 40, but because of the hip pad, I'm going to add extra 1 inch to it, then 1 inch again for sewing allowance. That should be about 42 inches. That is 40 inches divided by 4 is 10 inches. So I'm adding extra 2 inches because of the hip pad. 1 inch for the hip pad, then 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I will go to the down part of the skirt. I will remove 1.5 inches from what I have around my hip. I have 12 inches around my hip, minus 1.5 should be about 10.5. So that's what I'm going to take at the end of the skirt. So from my hip line, which is 8.5, I'm coming down by 2 inches. Then I will do the same thing at the midpoint of the skirt. I'll come down by 2 inches, because the reason why I'm doing this is because the hip is not just in one place, you know. So after your hip line, just come down by 2 inches so that the hip will balance well. So I will take the same measurements, the same 12 inches I have for my hip. I will now connect the line to the downside of the skirts. You can see the shape of the pencil skirt. The skirt is very beautiful. I will now take my darts. That's my nipple to nipple, which is 8 inches divided by 2. That is 4 inches. Then the length of my dart will be 4 inches because it's a short skirt. If it was a long skirt, I would take 5 inches. So I'm joining my dart with half inches from the both side. So I made a notch for my darts. So I'll now go ahead and cut the skirts. So I'll be using this front part to cut the back part. The only difference is going to be just the zip allowance. So I'll place it, then measure out 1.5 inches for my hip allowance, as you can see. So the difference is just the zip allowance. So from where my zip allowance will start, I will still notch my darts. I'll still make a cut for my darts. So that is just so I will slash the zip allowance area. That one will not be the back of my the back of that one is serving as the back of my skirt. So I will notch the zip allowance, then the darts. That's just the difference, just the zip allowance. So I will now use both the front and the back to cut both the front and the back lining. So from the middle, from the center of the skirt, I will come down by 0.75. You know, the front skirts, you always come down because it's not meant to be just straight. So you have to make a little slope at the front area. So I have to cut it out 0.75 from the center front. See the effect. So now go ahead and cut the lining for the skirt. So this is the lining. You see the material is 1.5 inches longer than the lining, so I'm going to use the lining to turn it. Then I'll top stitch on the lining after joining it. After sewing, I'll top stitch on the lining. So I'll go ahead and identify my darts for the lining. The material is 1.5 inches longer than the lining. So this is the lining. The lining is still where I'm going to attach the hip pad, hip and boot pad. So I will join it. This is the back part on top of the front part of the skirt. So I will join the hip side. So this center is the zip allowance. Here is the zip allowance. So I'll join both sides. I'll do the same thing on the material. So this is it. I'll join it. So the next thing now is to attach the hip pad to it. I already have a video on how to cut and sew a hip pad in my channel. So this is the waist side, and the smaller side is going to be at the front, where, if you can remember when I was cutting this hip pad, if you watch that video, you know that I came down by 2 inches. So I'm now going to start attaching the pad from the waist. I will come down by 2 inches. Then I will now sew it round. I will attach it round to the lining. I will leave about 2 inches for my sewing, for my zip allowance. You can leave 1.5 inches, but in this video I'm leaving 2 inches for my sewing. That is where the zip is. So make sure your hip pad don't cover the zip allowance area. So you just need to sew it round. Then you do the same thing to the other side. I came down by 2 inches from the waist. So I'll go ahead and sew it on the lining. You see, I've attached it to the lining. I've attached it to the lining. So this is the front. This is the front area. So I will now fold my skirt, the down part. I'll fold it into two. I will locate the midpoint of the skirt to the down part. Then I'll go ahead and sew. This is the material. This is the down part of the skirt. I'll sew them together. I'll run a stitch. Then after I will top stitch on the lining. Always top stitch on the lining. You see, I've done that and I've ironed the down parts. See how the tip is? This is how your skirt, this is how you make every skirt, even if it's gown, this is how you turn it. You turn your gown with the lining. Don't go and start folding it. You turn it like this to be more neat and more professional. So the next thing I will do is to attach this zip. Sorry I didn't add the band of the skirt. I didn't add the band to the skirt. I'll do that in our next tutorial. Please guys, make sure you like, share and subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in our next video and bye for now.